In today's video, I would like to elaborate on the importance of the continuous work on yourself. Many people think, I worked on something, now it's resolved, and will never bother me again. And at a certain moment, I will reach a point where I don't need to work anymore on myself because I solved all my problems, all my traumas from my youth, and I'm finished. Well, there's some truth to it, and there's also not. So stay tuned and let me clarify what's going on, what you're dealing with, and what some good steps could be. Like, subscribe, and share. Hi, my name is Lotfi Mirat, and this is a video that is slightly different from other videos. It was inspired by a patron of mine, a very loyal patron, and if you don't know what that is, it's somebody who's supporting me on Patreon. You will see a link in the description and you can go there and see what it is that you can get actually for that. So, most of us are aware that we do get triggered by things today, and the triggering happens to old wounds that we sustained during our youth often, or years ago in general. And so it's become a trend to want to work on your youth traumas. But then there is a conception that, well, I will have one or maybe two, maybe five, maybe even 10 sessions where I'm going to clean out all my past and then I'll be free. Well, that's not exactly how things work. You may know the spiral, and then people know explicitly the downward spiral. That is when things just go worse and worse and worse, and you're only going down, and your energy is going down, and yeah, at a certain moment you hit rock bottom. It's not a bad thing, by the way, because it means you can bounce back up. So in some cases, it's really needed. That's happening when people have a nervous breakdown, when they have a burnout generally. That's hitting rock bottom. Sometimes it's not fully rock bottom, so they need to experience a second one, like what I had, and then that one was deeper and heavier, and then I really started to change. But there's also the spiral that goes up. And that means that we get something on our path, we deal with it, we learn our lessons, but we learn on the level that we are at. Meaning that when we continue doing the work, when we continue living, we grow more experience and we get wiser, stronger, and then we can learn what we haven't learned about that one thing on a new level, on a higher level. It's just like at school. You don't learn English for just 1 year. You get multiple years of literature, multiple years of learning that one language. But then every year, you learn new things on a higher level. And that applies for math, for physics, for a lot of things in life in general. And so also personal development. We grow. Just look back at what you used to stress about when it would come to relationships, to friendships, for example, or love relationships, when you just started, and then a year or two later, and then how these things evolved. even as an adult. How do you look today at relationships, past, present, and potential future ones? If you've been working on yourself, if you've been evolving, then things have changed for you. You may still have certain core principles, but you look at things maybe more detached, or not at all if you actually gained some heavy wounds that you haven't healed yet. But if after a relationship you take time to process and to heal the wounds that have surfaced, then you'll be ready for the next relationship to come on your path, and you're most likely to take things much lighter, much easier. If you don't, then you're still living in the path, then you're still living your wound, you're still living what happened before, and you're blaming the new person in your life for what that other person did to you, or what you allowed that other person to do to you. Normally, nobody has power over you unless you give that power to a person. The same applies to jobs. Maybe you left a job because your boss was really shitty. And so you said, no more. Then you went to another company and you started there less nicely, more aggressively, more defensive, because you don't want to experience what you experienced before. But that means that you're already punishing your new boss for what your previous boss did. Doesn't work that well. There's a high chance your boss will just not take it. There's a tiny chance your boss is actually that evolved that he realizes that and says, hey, come, let's have a talk. And then starts asking you questions and then brings to the surface your wound and shows you that he's not responsible or she's not responsible for how you're behaving. But if instead you work on healing the wounds, then you step into that new job more confident, more relaxed. And you have a natural way of putting your boundaries. You don't need to be aggressive, you don't need to be mean. You say no. But people, you may not even have to say certain things out loud because people will just not come and step on your toes. They will not dare to cross your boundaries because they're clear. But they're clear because they're clear from here, not from, no, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that, and if you do that, I'm going to hit you back, or No, be relaxed. And I've seen that happening for me, for example. When after a certain job, I moved to another one, and I hadn't healed my wounds, I was defensive. Later on, I just walked in, I was like, okay, this is how, when I was asked, I was like, okay, this is how I see things. And then my soon-to-be boss was like, well, I fully agree. Because I said things without being in the wound. So I was just like, okay, this is how I want things, because that's best for me. And I even showed how it was also best for the company. Of course, in that job, I experienced again somebody who was bullying. It was not my boss, but it was somebody else who thought that he was so fantastic and so important. And so I didn't let things escalate as before, but I just told him like, hey, no, we're stopping here. And immediately pushed back without getting aggressive or mean or swearing. No, I just looked what is the language that he's speaking. Okay, I will speak back in that same language. So he was putting his boss and some other bosses in CC, accusing me of having being responsible for his own mistakes. And I was just replying to everyone in the list very calmly, like not saying he's a liar or whatever, just saying this is untrue. This is what happened. Tack, 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 tack. Here's proof. Tack, 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 tack. And send it back. Of course, there was no response. It was end of discussion. I stayed calm. I didn't let his behavior as a bully hurt me again. Not like I experienced years before that. And shortly before that, I had a job where there was this team leader who wanted us to do horrible things to our customers because he only wanted money, 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 money. He literally said, strip them bare. And so I decided, like, no, that's not what I do. I will do my work in a very good way, but I will not cross these lines because they're unethical. And if he wants to fire me for that, fine. So after a few days of frustration, that's what I decided on an evening. And in the morning, I walked into the office, just started doing my things, ignored all his bullshit, all his crazy ideas. And then around lunchtime, I got a call for a new job. And yes, sometimes it's really frustrating when we have worked hard on something to heal it, and then a few months or maybe even years later, we're in a situation and that wound is triggered again. And if we pay attention, we see it's differently. It's triggered differently. It's a different energy. It's on a new level because we have grown and evolved. And so there are new things that we need to deal with that we couldn't deal with earlier. And that's normal. Yes, it can be annoying, can be frustrating, and sometimes it's really tiring. But then what to do? Well, take a deep breath first. Take a step back. Try to relax, try to detach a bit. Zoom out, observe from a different angle. Maybe after watching this video, you will know next time what to do. And you're like, oh yeah, right, yeah, Lotfi said this and that, and actually it makes sense. Maybe I should have a look. Maybe I should try it. I don't believe it yet, but I will try it at least. And you'll see, things will change. And in the end, ask somebody who's very old, who's close to dying. He will tell you life or history keeps repeating itself, but then always slightly differently. And those who learn from their experiences overcome the new obstacles more smoothly, or they can overcome bigger obstacles because they grew stronger and wiser, more experienced. So don't let this discourage you. Don't let this affect your joy of life. Instead, work on yourself, work on your inner peace, meditate regularly, ground regularly. And it's very normal that sometimes we get out of our bodies, that we're not grounded, we're not connected, we get lost and we want to escape. It doesn't work. And when we really ground, we're really in our bodies, in the here and now, and there are many things that can help us with that, then life will go smoother. We will get through the difficult situations more easily. I hope this helps. If you have questions, simply ask me, because there are so many different ways this video could go. I just shared now what came up, but maybe you have questions that go in different directions, and then I can answer them. Good luck. Enjoy the ride, and see you soon. Like, subscribe, and share.